What was my journey like from a 9 to 5 worker to becoming a self-employed business owner? Stick around to find out. Hello, welcome to the video. My name is Fernando Romero, and I'm going to get straight to it. So growing up in a Hispanic home, I was always taught that the only way to be successful is to get a college education. That was something that was embedded into my brain since I was a child, and it was reinforced throughout the entirety of my education, leading up all the way to college. This kind of upbringing led to my very first existential crisis while I was in college. I was about halfway done with my degree. I was 24 years old. At the time, I was working full time and I was taking full time courses. So, as you can imagine, I didn't really have any free time to myself. I never took out any student loans, luckily, so that meant that I was paying off a majority of my classes out of pocket. That is why I had to hold a full time job. Now, I remember this day vividly. I was sitting in my business calculus class and I spaced out for a couple of minutes, but the only thought that was going through my mind was that this just isn't for me. A combination of being a full time student and having that full time job had finally caught up to me. So I did what many would consider a really stupid decision. I ended up dropping out of college and I quit my job. And after a short lived, euphoric, and liberating feeling, reality set in. I still had bills and rent to pay. Luckily, I had some money saved up that could get me through the next couple of months. After getting over the frustration of the potential time that I wasted in college, I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, but more importantly, I had to figure out how I was going to earn money to provide for myself. Luckily, I had a friend at the time who was working at a financial services company. He was able to put in a good word for me, and I was hired as a sales agent. It was a bit nerve-wracking because I had never done phone sales ever in my life. But after reading the script and memorizing it, I felt a lot more confident. I also have to throw in the fact that this job was strictly commission-based and did not pay an hourly wage. These guys were kind of tough on new people. On my first day, they threw me in the blender, as they like to say, to see if I would sink or swim. No training whatsoever, just threw me straight into the sales floor.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Okay. To my and their surprise, I actually ended up getting 2 sales that day, which was, pretty good for a rookie, according to them. And if you've ever been in sales, you know how good that feeling is when you close your first client. I eventually started making good money at this company. I was coming in early, I was staying late, but I was pulling easy 12-hour shifts, sometimes even more. But this is where I went wrong. I got caught up in the lifestyle and I was spending over my means, slowly racking up my credit card debt, and I was also paying off a car that I had financed. And after about a year of this comfort zone that I had built around me, I had another come to Jesus moment. I got an email from one of my credit card companies stating that they were going to lower my limit from 14,000 to around 7,500. Now, this particular credit card at the time, I had almost maxed out, so you can only imagine what this did to my credit score. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I knew what I had to do. I had to sell everything. I sold a majority of my materialistic possessions: TV, gaming consoles, shoes, clothes, you name it. I even had to get rid of my car. So I used up all that money and a majority of the savings that I had accumulated working my butt off at this company and got rid of all my debts. It was a clean slate. And since I didn't want to get into the same cycle all over again, I did the only thing I had any experience in at the time. I quit my job again. At this point in time, I really started to second guess my decision to leave college. I didn't have any money, I had to find a job, so I ended up getting another corporate 9 to 5. Now, this company did pay me an hourly wage, so I had a steady income coming in. And I ended up spending about a year at this company, and let me tell you, it quickly started to feel a lot like Groundhog Day. In fact, it looked a lot like this.
Coming to bed, honey?
Yes, dear.
I thought that was hilarious as a kid, but now I just find it a little sad. This quickly culminated into what I now understand as a bout of depression. I physically and mentally did not feel like myself, and I slowly started drifting away from family and friends and went into a really dark place. This is something that I honestly never really talked to anybody about, but yet here I am talking to some strangers about it. Life is funny sometimes. Once again, I was fortunate enough to have a friend at the time that convinced me that I needed to leave this job before it consumed more of my mental health. So that's exactly what I did. It seems like leaving these jobs was the only consistent thing that I was doing at the time. The only thing that I miss is the amazing people that you meet at these companies. My coworkers were amazing people. We just unfortunately didn't have much in common when it came to our goals. A majority of them were very happy to work at this company and stay working in a 9 to 5. And that is completely okay because the ultimate goal is to do what makes you happy. right? So after leaving this job, I decided to take another leap of faith, and I was going to try to start a business with a couple of friends of mine with the money that I had saved throughout the past year. Without getting into the specifics of the business, the only thing that you need to know is that it was a complete failure. But I did learn a valuable lesson. I learned that good friends don't always make for good business partners, and money can really, truly bring out the worst in people. I lost a good chunk of change on this endeavor, and for that reason, I decided to go at it by myself. I didn't have much money saved at the time, so I was doing research on businesses you could start with little capital. And that research led to me finding out about dropshipping, which is basically a type of business that you can build where you do not need to keep stock of products. Instead, you build a website and you funnel customers to it, and when they make a purchase, you order the item straight from the supplier, and then the supplier will send it straight to the customer, and you have no overhead costs. This is a business that you can run straight from your laptop. And at the time, I thought this was amazing. This was early 2018, and so what I didn't realize is just how saturated the market for dropshipping was becoming. At the time, it was a really popular topic among YouTubers and influencers. I eventually found a niche that I could take advantage of. I built a website on Shopify, which took me such a long time. I added products from several reputable suppliers. At least I thought they were reputable. I learned how to run ads on Facebook, Instagram, Google. I even paid influencers to shout out my website and my products. This went on for a few months, but I eventually had to stop for multiple reasons. Number one being the margins were just a little too small. The majority of these items were coming from China, so the shipping costs themselves would eat up on my profits. Number two, and this is very important, I had no control over quality assurance. I had no idea the kind of condition the item would arrive in, so this was a huge problem for me. And as you can imagine, I got quite a lot of complaints. This leads me to the third reason. The customer service part was taking just too much of my time. I was bombarded with emails from current customers and potential buyers with many questions, which I don't blame them for. I mean, they were buying an item from a random website they just found out about. So you could say that this business was sort of a failure. I mean, I didn't lose money, I still made money, although it was not something I could do long term. But like the great Michael Jordan once said, to learn to succeed, you must first learn to fail. That is a quote that spoke to my very soul at the time. So I moved on from dropshipping and doing research on similar business models. I came across Amazon FBA, where you essentially become a third-party seller on Amazon's platform. You send your products over to their fulfillment center, they package them, they ship them, and they also provide customer service, which was a big deal for me. Once I found products with really good margin, there was no stopping me from there. And for the past 2.5 years, that is the business that I've been building. And it's gotten to the point where I only have to work a couple of days out of the week and I can set my own schedule. Although there was a bit of a slowdown in 2020 due to COVID-19, but I was taken care of with PPP loans and government grants. I mean, the government was printing money like crazy anyways. I'm finally at a point in my life where I can call myself my own boss, and the potential for earnings is limitless. I've now invested a good chunk of change into the stock market and cryptocurrencies, with real estate not too far into the future. I've now accomplished one of my short-term goals of running my own business, which is going to lead me into my long-term goal of having full financial freedom. And thanks to this, I've also finally been able to do YouTube videos, which is something that I've been trying to do for the past 3-4 years, but I just never found the time. So I'm honestly really excited about it. So I am happy and at peace at this point in my life, but I am not satisfied. I know I got a long way to go still. I love to talk about market sentiment with stocks and cryptocurrencies, and also just business in general. So if you enjoy watching these kind of videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like this video. I would really appreciate it. Again, this was my own personal journey. This is just how I got to this point in my life. Everybody is different. If you're watching this and you're trying to accomplish something very similar, I wish you nothing but the best, and I hope you have an awesome and productive rest of your day. I'll see you next time.